Hello everyone and welcome back to Nara's Tarot. Thank you very much for being here. Today's reading we are going to do a very simple yes, no or maybe type of reading. So I invite you to hold a question in your mind, in your space, and we will take a look at spirit or the universe's answer to you, okay? So we have 4 piles to choose from today. This is pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and 4. So feel free to pause the video here if you'd like to take some time to connect with the piles. And otherwise, I will see you at your reading. Hello pile 1 and welcome to your reading. So we are going to focus on tarot messages today. So I invite you now to hold your question in your mind, in your space, and we will have a look at Spirit's answer to you, if it's a yes, no, or maybe, okay? Okay, you have, starting off here, the Chariot, and the keyword here is dimensional shifts of the crystalline. And then your next card is 8 of Portals in reverse with the keyword roots. And underneath the deck, we have 5 of Wands, harmony and adversity. And in this deck, it's called the 5 of Light Codes. Okay. The answer for you guys is a yes, depending on how you have structured your question. The interesting thing is that the Chariot talks about forward movement. And of course, if we were to just look at a very straightforward yes or no, the Chariot definitely represents a yes answer. But to dive a little deeper into what the messages in the cards are, we have the Chariot, which talks a lot about movement and kind of like a going forward towards something, right? A sense of direction. The 8 of Portals or the 8 of Cups, in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith image, it also shows somebody who is walking away from 8 cups. So the common thread between these two cards is almost like somebody moving forward from something in their lives, okay? And what I see for you is number 1, the Chariot, where you move towards success, you move towards victory, you move towards more positive outcomes in your life. And number 2, with the 8 of Wands, 8 of Cups in reverse, you guys also are closing off a chapter where you've had to walk away from something that wasn't giving you, that just, I'm hearing the internet slang, it just wasn't giving it. There was a kind of situation in your life that it didn't really give you what it promised that it would, and maybe you felt a little bit disappointed by the experience overall, and you've had to make the choice to move on from it. And that situation is at its tail end of its chapter, meaning it's closing out its energy in your life. What you guys are also moving on from is the 5 of Wands, which is an energy of conflict and of challenge and of opposing forces. You might find a lot of times in your life that there are, like for instance, you want to do something, but there are a lot of maybe situations that come in as obstacles, or maybe people that throw in their judgments, or maybe people that reject you, or there's suddenly, a ton of other things that you need to focus on and you can't get to the thing that you really want to do. This kind of situation is also coming into an end because we have the Chariot over here, where there almost is like a very clear and straightforward path all the way to victory. You're not going to have these opposing forces that stand between you and your final goal or destination, okay? So yes, overall, I do feel like the answer for you is yes. And let us continue to unfold a little bit more with and see what else Spirit wants you to know. All right, we have here the 7 of Cups also in reverse, and the Star. Oh, very interesting that the major arcanas are upright, and then we have these cup energies in reverse. So cups they represent in essence emotional energy, and emotions bring about the heart energy, right? It's when we feel strongly about something, when we feel passionate about something, when we have almost like we have a kind of attachment to it. And I'm not referring to this attachment as something negative or positive. It's just that emotions bring us closer to each other, right? Emotions bring us closer to something. Sometimes emotions may also repel us away from something, but there is a exchange of a relationship when it comes to emotions here. And with the Seven of Cups and the Eight of Cups both in reverse, the thing that is happening here is you guys realizing that maybe you felt like you made the wrong choice, and you realized that you needed to move on from something that really didn't serve you well and really didn't work out for you well. And there has been a lot of like forgiveness work done to be able to let go of the self-judgment and the self-criticism that you might have been playing out in your mind, in your life. But I also see you really like wanting to move on from a lot of emotional baggage with the Seven of Cups and the Eight of Cups. I think you now realize that you've been carrying a really heavy baggage, and it's not worth your while. It's not even worth your energy to be constantly carrying the weight of this past baggage. That's why we have the Star and the Chariot. The Chariot is able to move so quickly forward also because he is optimized for that speed, right? And the Chariot can't be optimized for speed if they are carrying a lot of weight, you know? They either have to, if they are carrying a lot of weight, they either have to have like a bigger horsepower or a bigger like kind of like energy bank, right, to be able to pull that weight, or they have to let go of some of the cargo that they're carrying. But the Chariot isn't a representation of someone who is carrying a lot of cargo. In fact, the Chariot is really focused. He isn't bringing his house and his entire life with him on this Chariot's journey. He is just bringing the essentials and moving forward in his direction, in his path, right? So I do see you guys letting go of these things and moving on from any kind of unnecessary stress, emotional tension, any kind of like past baggage. You're definitely letting go of that. And that comes through really nicely with the Star, which also talks about healing, which talks about the kind of like the what happens, you know, after a challenging situation. Because after right before the Star, we have the Tower card. So the Tower is that very challenging situation that you guys might have been on, and we arrive at this place of the Star where there is almost like a restoration of dignity, a restoration of, even I'm hearing, divinity, where you get to feel a lot more like you get to feel more connected. It's almost like your spirituality and the spirit in the human returns, you know, the soul in the human returns, where in the past you might have felt like you were a shell of yourself. Now this part of yourself returns to you. This spiritual soul-like being comes back. So a lot more energy is being poured back to you as well. Let's check out what's underneath the deck here. We have the Hermit in reverse. And what is the keyword actually? Contemplative solitude. I think also many of you are coming out of a hermit's journey. You have spent enough time, I think, with yourself. You've spent enough time reflecting, processing, and integrating some kind of lesson. And it's like something has shifted in your life where you're ready to go from the Hermit to the Chariot, where you're ready to say that, okay, I've done enough soul searching, I've done enough research maybe, I've done enough inner work, I'm ready to rise again. You know, there's this TikTok meme I was looking, well, I don't know if it's a meme, but it's like a TikTok thing where somebody was saying that like at the end of their spiritual journey, or at the quote unquote end of their spiritual journey, they return back to a materialistic life. And it just shows this lady like carrying a bunch of like luxury bags and stuff like that. But the point of it is that there's something about a spiritual journey that brings us so deep inside ourselves that we lose touch with the material world in some sense. we kind of become hermits in the modern world, and we may not be that interested in a lot of like material things. We may not be interested in trends. Everybody is jumping on the latest hype, and you're just uninterested. You maybe even feel like that's not you. But then, however, at the end of this spiritual journey that you have been on, at the end of this soul searching and personal growth that you've been on, you actually realize that you are ready to re-engage with the world. You're ready to be back with community, to be back with people, and it doesn't, I guess it doesn't bother you as much, you know. The things that used to trigger you don't have the same chokehold over you anymore. The things that people would say or do, or like all of the kind of like, yeah, like we were looking at the Five of Wands energy where people were constantly crossing swords. Those kinds of things don't hurt you as much anymore, because you now realize that, well, that's their free will, that's somebody else's choice, and it doesn't reflect upon you as a person. And you maybe have more ways to be able to navigate or deal with people that aren't being kind, right? Where maybe in the past, if somebody wasn't being kind to us, we would just take the hit. But now maybe you have more tools to work with, to actually stand up for yourself, to actually realize that you can get angry, you can push back, you can set your boundaries. And then you have a more, I guess, a healthier and also like a different relationship with the world than before. A relationship that also allows you to honor yourself, okay? So overall, this is a yes, but I have no idea what your situation is. It's just... you're just moving forward in life. I just want to get some final messages from you. I feel like we need a little bit of that to close off this reading. Let's see what else Spirit wants to tell you. And I just dropped the card, so give me 1 second to pick it up. Okay, and your card is the World in reverse. We just spent so much time talking about the world, and the world comes out in reverse. Okay, underneath the deck we have Ace of Earth Guardians, Ace of Pentacles, also in reverse. All right. Yeah, you're encountering the world in a different way, for sure. And the world is also seeing you differently. One message coming through here from Spirit is that the world hasn't changed. You have. And when you change your perspective of the world, when you change your view and your attitude and your responses to the world, you may find also that, hey, my previous perception of the world was perhaps incomplete. There were things about the people around me, or about society at large, or about a specific community that I didn't fully know of, and perhaps I had also placed some judgments onto those groups of people as well. And Spirit here is inviting you to have more compassion, both for yourself and for the world. Because holding that kind of judgment, holding that kind of like sword over everybody's heads and around everybody's necks, and your neck included, is very tiring. It's very tiring to live that way. That's not to say that we don't have any standards for each other, right? But it's the judgment, it's the criticism, it's the sharpness of tongue, and maybe sometimes even very, very cruel way in which we shoot at each other, which doesn't always help, you know? It doesn't always lead to the outcomes that we want. It doesn't even really enable us to move in a positive or constructive direction together. So the Ace of Pentacles is asking us, where and how do we want to actually invest our time and our energy into this time around? Now that you are ready to step out into the world, now that you have something else that you would like to offer, or you are feeling more at peace with yourself, what would you do differently? And I think that the key here is also that you guys are definitely choosing to do things differently with Ace of Pentacles and the World in reverse, because you're not repeating the same cycle anymore. The World in reverse, for some reason, is telling me that you guys are not you guys aren't repeating a cycle. Oh, and I realized that actually some of you might be a little bit worried that if you were to step out into the world again, that you would be repeating the same cycle, that because you're making this same choice to maybe go back to work, or to go back into dating, or go back to making friends, or go back to putting your projects or your creative endeavors out into the world, out into social media, like however it is that you're choosing to go back into the world, you might be feeling like you're taking a step in the wrong direction. And that the kinds of situations you dealt with in the past would then repeat themselves. This is Spirit saying that no, first of all, the investment from Spirit, with the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, and the investment from Spirit meaning that what Spirit is giving to you is not gonna be whatever happened to you in the past. In fact, what's coming towards you is what will be meant for you. So you have to remember that. And you have to remember also that you're not repeating a cycle, you're stepping into a new chapter. So I think that's why this Eight of Cups is in reverse here. Now that makes a lot of sense, because you need to fully let go of that past. You need to realize that you don't have to fear the past. You don't have to keep reliving the past. You don't have to play out the past in your mind as almost like something to be cautious of, or something that you're constantly watchful of, that the same red flags are going to appear. Let that story come to an end. That's why with the Seven of Cups is also in reverse. We have labyrinth on that card here, like with this maze, right? And it almost feels like some of us are feeling like we're walking back into the same trap. We're doing something again and it feels weird. However, you're not doing the same thing again. This is a totally new experience. You're choosing to do something very different, and you're going to find a very different outcome for yourself, okay? So overall, I've rambled on too much, but overall your reading is a yes. And there's some guidance for you as well about how you can really start this new chapter of your life in a clean slate. Okay, so pile number one, this is what I see for you. Thank you very much for being here. I hope this reading brought you the clarity that you were seeking, and I look forward to reading for you guys in future as well. All right, bye now. Hello pile 2, and welcome to your yes, no, or maybe reading. So we're going to focus on tarot cards for this message here today. So I invite you to hold your question in your mind, in your space, and we will unfold a message from Spirit to you, okay? So let's see if it's a yes, no, or maybe. Okay, we have here the Knight of Pentacles in reverse with the keyword patience. We also have Temperance in reverse, and the keyword is harmony. And then we have the High Priestess in reverse with the keyword empowerment. And underneath the deck, we have the Seven of Pentacles in reverse with the keyword faith. I want to say that the answer for you is a maybe, but it's leaning more to a yes. If that makes sense. Like if we could put yes, maybe, and no on like a line, and there's like a spectrum of it, your answer is like maybe, but leaning more to a yes. And I'll explain why, okay? Because I feel like in this pile, a lot of you are looking at, or the essence of your question is about something you would like to manifest. And the thing here is a lot of you are feeling very doubtful about you achieving that outcome. And so on many levels, you have already from the get-go written yourself off with that doubt. With that doubt, you've already said that it's not going to be possible, because that impossible energy is already inside your space somehow. However, with doubt, it's also not a complete outright rejection of what you want to manifest, because otherwise you wouldn't be here. Otherwise, you wouldn't still be trying for that thing, right? So there is still a part of you that believes that it could be possible, but the voice of doubt is a little bit strong, okay? So therefore, the message over here is that you have a higher chance, or you stand a higher chance of being able to manifest this thing if you allow yourself to believe in yourself. And the tricky thing about this, about faith, which is the Seven of Pentacles in reverse here, faith, the tricky thing about High Priestess, which talks about intuition, which talks about having that relationship with the unknown, the tricky thing about this is that we never really know. And I could sit here and tell you that yes, you're going to achieve it. Yes, you're going to make it. Yes, this, yes, that. But you never really know until you achieve it. You never really know until that thing arrives, right? And it's okay to have a healthy level of doubt. That's what makes us human. Also, that could be what makes us intelligent as well, right? To be a little bit skeptical about things, to dig a little bit deeper, to try to understand and unpack something. That's part of life. So the message from Spirit is firstly not to demonize the doubt, right? But also to understand and be aware that the doubt also prevents us from fully and wholeheartedly believing and committing to the vision. Because from that doubt, we might hold ourselves back from doing what's necessary. Because of that doubt, we might actually be steeped in negative cycles of emotions that prevent us from actually just doing what we need to do, right? Maybe we end up feeling or feeding into some kind of negativity, and we lose the motivation, or we lose the passion to get something done. Okay, so the answer for you is maybe leaning more to a yes, because this is not something that is so determined by an external factor. How you will achieve this is determined by you internally. Is determined by how you write your own story, how you speak to yourself, how you tell the universe what you want. All of these things are controlled by you, not by some external factor. Okay, let's get you a bit more guidance from Spirit about your situation for this reading. Ooh, the card just dropped. We have number 4, not number 4. We have the 4 of Cups. All right, let's see what else comes through. We have the Star. Look guys. I mean, star energy is here. Star is all about that manifestation energy, it is the card, it is, one of those wish fulfillment cards. So you have this energy here. It's within your reach. It's within your energy field as well. And it's all up to you to align to the energy of the star. Even the 4 of Cups, if we could speak about it briefly here as well, the 4 of Cups is, with the keyword here, awareness. This is about noticing when something is changing in ourselves or changing in our environment, noticing the signs, noticing the messages coming through from the universe, or maybe just messages coming through from your life as well. It's noticing the subtle changes, right? The 4 of Cups is an information that comes through in a very subtle way. It's not quite, a big bang or a big news or something that is going to drop on your lap like some big loud thing, right? It's not the case. The 4 of Cups invites us to see the subtleties in our environment, to notice that, hey, there are some positive changes happening. I can feel it. And even if I don't know it or I don't quite see it, I feel it, and I can trust myself in that feeling. I can trust that intuition, right? It's almost like you know that you're on the cusp of greatness. You know that you're on the cusp of something new, something different. It hasn't fully materialized, but you can feel it there. That's something. That's something to trust. That's something. That's an information or a data point that you can work with. So don't deny those feelings. Don't just dismiss them just because it's just a feeling and it's nothing more. Try not to do that, okay, Pal 2. So let's get you a bit more guidance as well. We have the 2 of Wands in reverse, unity. We have the 8 of Swords in reverse, the 9 of Swords in reverse, as well as the Hierophant. Underneath the deck, we have 9 of Cups in reverse. Okay. The last couple of cards here is Spirit's guidance to you about how you can move forward with your feet firmly planted on the ground and yet not losing sight of the dream, right? Because the dream, or tapping into that dream-like energy of our goals and that final kind of like vision that we have, it can sometimes take us away from reality, right? Because that vision of our lives is different from whatever we're experiencing now, right? And so with the Two of Wands here, you don't have to constantly live in that vision, because your feet is present here. Like your body is present right now. You're living through whatever reality you're going through right now. Whatever difficult, challenging, tough, or maybe even shitty situations you're dealing with right now, that's your reality. And for you to be here and experience this, and somehow your mind is like in some like other fantasy land, like, okay, for example, right, maybe you want to be like financially free, but right now you have a ton of debt that you're paying off. To constantly be in a state of like, oh my god, I'm so financially free, I am this, I am that, the kind of like affirmations and like living in that end state, like there's something here that Spirit is saying that like that is really kind of difficult to constantly maintain that end state kind of frequency. And you don't have to do that to manifest what you want, is the funny message coming through here. The Hierophant, right next to the High Priestess as well, is calling for you to approach your spirituality, your law of attraction, your affirmations, your all of this like manifestation energetic things, right? They're calling for you to approach all of these spiritual things with a very practical lens in mind. You do it with a very pragmatic approach, meaning that you realize that the affirmations are tools to help you to align with a certain energetic frequency, not to escape from your present day-to-day experience, right? And so the Eight of Swords and the Nine of Swords in reverse, both in reverse, is saying that number one, Eight of Swords, we're removing illusions, we're removing any blind spots, we're not allowing ourselves to delve into delusions as well. However, with the Nine of Swords in reverse, it's also saying that we're also not going to descend into unnecessary worry. We're not going to descend into stressing out about our present situation just because it's not what is most ideal, just because it's not where we want to be, doesn't mean that we have to stress out or worry or put additional emotional tension and mental stress on ourselves, right? This is being very, very real with you. Use your spiritual tools, is what the Hierophant is saying. Use your tools to keep yourself grounded, to keep yourself 100% real, and also to use your tools to help you to manifest. So manifestation, yes, and keep yourself grounded in the real world. Keep yourself grounded in reality. That is how you will be able to move through this experience. Not by indulging in fantasies, not by indulging in any delusions or illusions, but by knowing exactly what steps you're taking. Knowing that, for instance, you're working hard every day, you're taking your action steps, you are going back to that example, you're making money and you're staying in a stable job, putting aside funds every month to pay off your debt, and also reciting your affirmations, doing all of that spiritual spell work, energetic work, healing or inner work to also call in that very that future, that ideal future that you want, that you're doing both of these things at the same time. Your concrete action steps and your spiritual practices can support each other that way. Okay, and therefore the Nine of Cups in reverse is not letting all of this become so overwhelming for you, like not letting manifestation become like a burden, or like become something that is like so stressful to actually upkeep. It actually is instead something that's meant to be more lighthearted. Like the road to manifestation is actually maybe more there's something about balance being needed in your life, like manifestation doesn't have to be desperate, doesn't have to be so crazily intense. Like, I understand, that the feeling of wanting something is very intense, right? But there's something about you guys reaching a certain point in your journey where you know that, oh, and we have temperance in reverse here, yeah. There's something about you guys reaching a point in your manifestation journey where you understand that desperately longing and wanting something doesn't really change the energy. And maybe that desperation actually hurts you more. It actually makes you feel the suffering of not having something even more. So there could be a different way to approach this by actually being kinder to our bodies, kinder to our emotions, kinder to our heart, kinder to our soul, kinder to ourselves, even as we manifest. And maybe manifestation, instead of being this like big grand thing that we're trying to do and we're like constantly consumed by it, manifestation just becomes a part of life. It's just like something that we do every day. There's nothing about it. There's nothing that needs to it's not something that is like some crazy spiritual thing, it's just part of life. Hey, I'm just reciting my affirmations, right? It's just like I'm drinking water. It's just like I'm just doing the chores, right? There's something like very normal about it. And when we normalize it, it kind of gets closer to us, it becomes closer, more intimate, more integrated as well into our lives. And maybe that's how you manifest. For my power tools, maybe that's how you reach your goals, just by like normalizing it. Instead of putting it on a pedestal, or instead of putting it on some kind of, it's like, instead of it being like some kind of prize, it's just like, yeah, this is just every day. I am just somebody who manifests and who is doing this work, and that's just me, and there's nothing crazy about it. All right, so Paul number 2, your answer is, after all that spiel, is maybe leaning to a yes, and you have a higher potential and chance to transform this into a full yes by truly believing in yourself and what you can do. Okay, so thank you very much for being here. I hope this reading brought you the clarity that you are seeking, and I do look forward to reading for you guys in future as well. All right, bye now. Hello, Pal 3, and welcome to your yes, no, or maybe reading. So we're going to use tarot cards for this reading, and I invite you now to hold your question in your mind or in your space, and we will shuffle the answer together to find out from Spirit if it's a yes, no, or a maybe. Okay, the first card is the Ace of Swords in reverse. Okay, and we have the High Priestess in reverse, the Nine of Swords also in reverse, as well as the Seven of Cups. Alright, underneath the deck we have the Star. Okay, I do feel like the answer to your question is a no. But this is one of the no's that actually feels like it's better for it to be a no, like it feels like this is meant for you, that to move on or to walk away or to say no to this thing, or for this thing to say no to you, is actually in alignment. And let me explain why, okay? Because with the Ace of Swords together with the High Priestess, both in reverse, number one, this is Spirit saying that whatever this situation is that you're inquiring about, there is really more to it than meets the eye. Ace of Swords here in reverse is saying that the picture that was painted to you is not fully complete. So you might have been making a decision or a choice on something based on incomplete information. And therefore, that is why it might have been so difficult to actually move forward or just do something or make your choice, because there's a part of you that already knows that there's something iffy about this. Okay, so if this is you, this confirms that this reading is for you. And also with the High Priestess in reverse, this is something about our gut intuition and feeling saying that something feels wrong, something feels off, and I can't really pinpoint what and why. I don't have the concrete facts to back myself up, but I feel something. But with these two cards in reverse, many of you are also denying this feeling. Maybe because you really want this certain outcome, and therefore you're trying to push these feelings to the side. However, this is Spirit's way of telling you to honor those feelings because there's something there in it. The thing about these two cards also is Spirit saying that they didn't really sanction or approve this situation unfolding in your life. There was really something about this that isn't meant for you. So therefore, if there's a situation that is being removed from your life, that is being, there's some kind of ending that you're experiencing, this is why it's ending, because it's just not meant for you. We have the Nine of Swords in reverse next. This is that anxiety and the nervousness and all of the uncertainty being lifted out of your life from this situation ending. And with that Nine of Swords and that lack of clarity being lifted from your life, you open yourself up to more choices again with the Seven of Cups. Where in the past with this Ace of Swords, High Priestess, and Nine of Swords in reverse, it kind of feels like you tied yourself down to one option and one option only. There could only be one way that this thing worked out. And you made yourself kind of like stuck onto this one thing. But that level of rigidity really doesn't work for you. And so when you let the situation go, you actually open yourself up to the Seven of Cups, which is even more choices, even more pathways, even more things to discover. And this is what's really meant for you. You kind of like open yourself up to make a choice again. You, in this situation here with these three cards in reverse, you've almost like relinquished your ability to make some kind of choice. So I don't know if you gave up some kind of decision-making power or your autonomy or your independence in some way. Like you might have given this thing up. And the reason why this thing therefore is leaving your life, and the reason why Spirit is saying no to your answer, is because what is really needed for you is to have that autonomy back, to have the ability to exercise your free will, to have the ability to make the choice that is really meant for you. Okay? We have Star underneath the deck. I mean, Star is healing after a very challenging situation. Star is also the wish fulfillment card, right? So you have this opportunity to heal from a very tough situation, and you also have the opportunity to create the kind of reality that you really want in your life, right? Not this kind of half-assed reality that doesn't really give to you, that doesn't really serve you, that doesn't really want the best for you. No, you actually get to create a reality that is built on friendships, on relationships, on career, on a life that actually is, good for you and it has your best interests at heart. Okay, let's get you a bit more guidance from Spirit about your situation. Okay, we have the Hanged Man, and this card is in reverse. Whoa. Okay. That's a lot of cards, so I'm just going to show them to you, but I won't read all of them. We have the Four of Wands, Knight of Wands, Emperor, Three of Swords, Four of Cups, Knight of Swords. Yeah, that's a little bit too much to do for a reading. I just want like one or two more cards, so let's just keep shuffling. Ooh, okay, the cards just fell off my desk. Give me 1 second. Okay, and the cards are the Two of Pentacles and also the Page of Wands in reverse. All right. And underneath the deck, we have the Ace of Cups. Yeah, you see? You see, the Ace of Cups is a new beginning. It's a new offering. It's something new coming through from Spirit. This is a divine gift and a divine blessing that is available to you and that is entering your life. You really need to let yourself off the hook. You really need to let yourself go from being hostage to the situation. The Hanged Man is you holding yourself hostage in some way, and you're kind of like putting yourself on a stake. And for what? You're putting yourself up for judgment on crimes you didn't commit, which, to translate that, you're putting yourself up for responsibilities that that you're not responsible for. You're putting yourself up for tasks that aren't your obligation to fulfill, So the Two of Pentacles is calling for you to focus. Focus your attention, focus your energy back to what you really want, back to what's really meant for you. Page of Wands. Page of Wands wields the wand energy, which is all about passion, all about that spark and that fire and that light inside of us. This is calling for you to return back to that. You've abandoned this long enough. It's time to come back to the real deal and the real purpose and mission of why you're here on this planet, okay? So I don't know what else to say, but pile number 3, this is your reading here. I thank you for being here. I hope this reading brought you the clarity that you were seeking, and I look forward to reading for you guys in future as well, okay? Bye now. Hello, pile 4, and welcome to your yes, no, or maybe reading. So we're going to focus on tarot messages for this reading, and I invite you to actually hold your question in your mind and your space right now, and we will shuffle the cards together to get your answer from Spirit, okay? So let's see if it's a yes, no, or maybe for you. All right, starting off, we have the Champion of Pentacles in reverse, which is the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, followed by the Three of Cups in reverse, the King of Cups also in reverse, Judgment in reverse, and the World. Underneath the deck, we have the Hanged Man. Okay, the reading for you guys is a yes and kind of energy to it. It's a yes with a disclaimer. That's the kind of feeling I'm getting. It's a yes with a bit of explanation, okay? So there are some things that are making your situation a little bit challenging, not gonna lie. However, we have the World card over here. And the World symbolizes some kind of major achievement and accomplishment and victory. So beyond the challenges, you will be able to achieve what you want. So there is the element of a yes to this answer. And Spirit wants you to know that this outcome is most likely going to be different than what you envisioned. And therefore, that's the caveat that they want to share with you. Because we can't quite yet see beyond what happens after the World, right? All that you are really focused on is the World right now. That you're focused on achieving this outcome. You maybe know very well what exactly you want, what is in this thing, like you may know all of the details, right? However, there's this portal in the World here, and it's drawing my attention to it. And what the World card is saying is that beyond this door that you pass, you don't fully know what will happen. And that's the surprise, that's the mystery, that's the journey of life. It's uncertainty is part and parcel of our human experience, right? If we knew everything, we maybe wouldn't be here. So this is a Spirit saying that yes, however, and things may be different from what you envisioned, okay? So that's number 1. And number 2, Spirit also wants to talk about the challenges that you're experiencing right now and what is in the way of you and this outcome, this kind of like victorious ending that you're looking for, okay? Firstly, with the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, what this is telling me is that things are happening so slowly for you now. Almost like nothing is changing, nothing is moving. You keep trying and trying and trying, and it just wouldn't budge. Nine of Pentacles moves at a very slow but steady pace. And in reverse, it's like this energy doesn't want to budge. Okay, so that's something that you're going up against, you know, trying to move a very stubborn situation, trying to move a very stubborn energy. The other thing here with the Three of Cups and the King of Cups is you don't really feel supported on this journey. You maybe don't really have friends or family or a community or a support system that you can lean on. And that also makes it extra challenging because you have to do everything by yourself, King of Cups in reverse. And there's a lot of pressure on the King of Cups when he is in a reverse position. He has so much emotional weight to carry. He has so much a responsibility on his shoulders that it's almost like crushing him emotionally. That's what I feel with this King of Cups. There's just so much to deal with, and it's just emotionally very overwhelming. And yet we don't have a support system to lean on. So these things make it extra challenging for you to see that your final victory and world situation is possible. Now, we have these three cards over here, and then we have Judgment in reverse. Many of you also feel like Spirit doesn't really hear you or see you or acknowledge you. You might have felt very abandoned by the universe. You might have felt very alone in all of this and not really receiving even that spiritual support. There's also been something that has been so challenging to bring to an end. It's like you keep living the same life over and over again is what I'm seeing, and it just doesn't stop. The challenges don't stop. The punches don't stop rolling in. It really, really sucks. And the other thing Spirit wants you to know is that all of these things are true, are valid, and are your experience. However, there's also a very judgmental layer above all of these things with the Judgment card in reverse. There's something about you or something about you / your environment, I don't really know which one it is, but there are people around you or yourself who judges slowness. You judge when things aren't moving at the speed that you think it should. You judge yourself, or maybe the people judge around you are judgmental about those who don't have a lot of friends. You might be very judgmental about yourself because you don't have a support system, unlike how some people might portray themselves on social media, you know, where they have a ton of friends and a big social life. You end up judging yourself because you don't have one. And you also judge yourself because you don't know how to manage these overwhelming emotions. And you judge yourself also for not having that level of spiritual support. You know, some people say that they pray to their angels and their guides and their universe, and they perform like one spell and the gates open and they manifest and yada yada yada, and you're like, how come I've been trying so hard and that just hasn't been me? You know, so on the one hand, these experiences are valid, but on the other hand, you're also adding a layer of judgment and criticism on top of these experiences. And Spirit is pointing out that that's one way of looking at it, but not the only way. They want you to engage with wisdom, right? That maybe we could see that something is really stuck or slow in our lives, and instead of criticizing it, maybe we could look at it from a different angle. Maybe we could see that, hey, timing is just not right now. Timing hasn't been right in my life. If any of these things happened for me in the past, you know, in all of the other times I tried, something might have gone off. You know, maybe we could see that the stuckness and the slowness is actually helping us. How can we inject in more wisdom into the situation? Not easy, not gonna lie. You know, not easy at all to do this thing. Not easy at all to see your own life with wisdom and with compassion. It's easier to do it for somebody else, honestly. It's easier to look at somebody else's playbook, somebody else's script, somebody else's life journey and give them your wisdom. But to do it for yourself is damn difficult because you are going through the suffering, you are going through the actual experiences. It is not easy to hold that kind of space, okay? But the message here is Spirit saying that, you know, that layer of judgment is unhelpful. And if you don't have the space in you to find wisdom or to find some kind of loving, compassionate, you know, conclusion for everything, like if you don't have the heart space or the head space to do that, at least don't judge yourself. At least don't put an additional pressure on yourself to like to feel terrible, you know, about your own life. At least don't do that. Okay? So the answer is a yes and I just want to get a final card or two for my pile force, just to see what other guidance or what other information spirit can leave for you. Okay? All right, and we have here the Apprentice of Cups, which is the Page of Cups. We have, how do I actually, okay, we have the Hangman. Oh, the Hangman was underneath the deck just now. And then we have the Four of Wands. Beautiful. And underneath the deck, we've got the Eight of Wands. Ooh, okay. So the final information that Spirit wants to share with you is that things have been stagnant, yes, with the Hangman. Hangman is in limbo. And the Page of Cups also feels like, hey, nothing is changing, right? Because the Page of Cups talks about an unexpected situation coming through, you know, with the page holding a cup with a fish coming out of it. There's something very unexpected, something very, very almost like out of this world, you know? Like it doesn't make sense for a fish to just pop out of a cup. Something out of this world is happening, but for many of you, you've been praying for like a miracle and it's not happening. Okay, but there's something shifting in your life with the Four of Wands and the Eight of Wands underneath the deck. It's kind of like when the changes happen, they happen so quickly and so fast and so furiously that you really can't quite keep up. And so I'm hearing for some of you that your entire house is going to change. And I have no idea what that means, but maybe some of you are moving, some of you are maybe doing like a whole complete makeover of your room, or maybe some of you are entirely changing the face of reality in your life. But when one change happens, it almost like happens as like an avalanche for you with the Eight of Wands underneath the deck. It happens really quickly. So really don't judge yourself too much for the fact that you might be in limbo right now. I don't know why life has worked out for you this way. You know, what was the reason or the karma or what was the cause and effect that made it such that you had to experience something like this? I don't know. And is there a soul lesson here? Maybe, maybe not. Is this some kind of big earth school lesson? Maybe, maybe not. We don't really know. And maybe we'll only really know at the end of the journey, right? After we complete the chapter, we would then be able to understand the full story on hindsight. For now, try to accept that we're at this weird, uncomfortable stage in life. Try to accept that maybe this is where we're meant to be, and know that you have good things on the horizon for you. Know that you have the World, the Four of Wands, and the Eight of Wands, all cards which talks about some kind of celebration, some kind of victory, some kind of success, and as well as an ending that's happening that will bring you, success and new beginnings, that will bring you fast-moving changes. Know that these energies are available to you. It's happening, it's coming, maybe it's already here. And we just need to get through this limbo stage. All right, so pile number 4, this is what I see for your reading. Thank you very much for being here. I hope this reading brought you the clarity that you were seeking, and I look forward to reading for you guys in future as well, okay? Bye now.